Hello everybody. We did it. After 21 stream days consecutively and a total of about 166 hours of gameplay, I got every achievement. I got every regular achievement in the game, along with quite a few secret ones. This was the last one on my list. I did this as part of my 50 marathon that I mentioned earlier. And it was a pretty fun experience. I mean, a lot of it was doing the same thing over and over, but when we got to the secret ones, there were some pretty interesting things to think about. With Great One specifically, it kind of needed its own pack. It was the only one that really needed its own pack. Because ordinarily you know, have to get Great One to survive. You either use something like Seagull Onion, or you do what I did and have Chameleon copy it. Copy the evil book so that you can get multiple Great Ones. But either way, it's going to be very difficult to keep the Great One on the board and, like, alive. And so I used this pack to make it a bit more consistent. And this is also the only one I really got in the standard pool. Because kind of as a moral thing, I didn't want to spam the same team for absolutely ages to get every achievement in the standard pool, where it was like just the most broken team I could think of, plus whatever achievement pet I was going for. But in this case, because I had an entirely other pack for it, because I feel like I had to incorporate Great One into the final board somehow, I figured this one would be fine. But yeah, the plan long term was just to get a Great One board with Mushroom, Whale, Tiger, and some form of health reduction. Usually it would be Kraken, but Skunk would also work. And, I mean, Flea is also kind of good for that. It's not amazing, but it is health reduction in a sense, and it also provides ailments, which can override equipment. Here's Nick. Nick has Seagull, presumably also going for some achievement stuff. I've seen some stuff about Nick going for, like, Fire Pup recently, so it could be based around that. But we're on turn 6, I buy double avocado, because next turn I'm looking for Chameleon pretty heavily. It doesn't do anything immediately, but it's so important to have. I mean, while I have Skeleton Dogs just buffing the Fan Muscle. Fan Muscle is good. The text on the Great One specifically says summoned, so when the Great One is summoned, it deals 6 damage to all other pets. When you buy a unit, it also counts as being summoned, which makes things pretty tough. Because when you buy the Great One, even though it's a pretty good stat line, it does 6 damage to your entire board. And so a lot of this pack was set up to try and either get value from that with HUD abilities, or try and just reduce the damage as much as possible. Here's Grounded Sap. Was that Parrot Pineapple? I don't know, these fights have been going by quickly. I have 13 gold this turn. I buy this Flounder. And this is, I mean, this is pretty damn good. I'm probably not playing it perfectly because, well, I was, like, 9 hours into this stream, potentially. Sometime like that. It was a similar situation to the Sloth where it happened at the end of a stream. And to be honest, this was the last... Oh, hello, not again, devlog. The Great One lives, so that's what we need to happen, because now we need to steal it with Venus Flytrap, which chooses a remaining pet from last battle to stock at 2 gold. So here, the pets that were left over, still alive in the last fight, were Fan Muscle and Great One. So this is how we get the Great One achievement. First, I cycle this this blue ring out, because it gets the Flea to 7 HP, so now when we buy the Great One, the Flea won't die. I also want to keep the Skeleton Dog alive, so I can get value from it this turn. And eventually I can also sell it for an extra 2 gold. Ordinarily with something like this you would use Quetzalcoatl, because a lot of token pets like this are considered as tier 1s. Although it's fairly inconsistent which ones are actually tier 1s. But we're at 7 wins already. We still have 5 lives at this point. The chameleon stopped doing anything because there's no evil book anymore. The great one lived because it was put in the back of the team. So we can just get another one out of Venus Flytrap. And we take Mammoth. But, I mean, right now the great one still isn't doing anything. And yeah, we are finally starting to lose fights. Which is fine. I do have Quetzalcoatl in this pack to give 2 XP at the end of turn. But in this particular game, I just didn't find it in time. And, like, at this point already, the Great One was level 2.3. If I remember correctly, I just bought a bunch of, like, chocolates on it to get it to level 3. But here we play the Tiger. Tiger is good because it can just copy anything. It doesn't live the Great One hits, really, because it's dealing 12 damage to us as well, but that doesn't particularly matter. As long as the Tiger copies whatever it's supposed to while it's dying but not dead. It's like a weird state that the game has. It will work fine. So, here for an... I think it does apply in this battle. So first of all, the Umami Rabbit triggers, which is whatever, but the important thing to note is when this Great One comes back, it does still activate twice. You see, it activates at a level 2 and a level 1, despite the Tiger dying from the initial Great One summon. This is 24 damage, which is in line with 12 plus 6 plus 3 plus 3 from the week. But we're on 2 lives all of a sudden. We've lost quite a few turns in a row. And we still don't actually have the Great One at level 3. I have a cycle slot though, so I can cycle out another bad dog. And have yet another Great One, at least for this turn. And this turn I run a full squad, Chocolate the Great One. There's the Quetzalcoatl, but at this point we don't even need it. It would be good for Flea maybe, but we honestly don't even need level 3 Flea for this. Here's Nick running some poise pets. Actually, the Blowfish hit was really relevant there. Because the Fan Muscle was... Although the Fan Muscle was level 3... but I think either way, because the Fan Muscle already, like, used its triggers up, if the Blowfish hit the Fan Muscle, we would lose that fight as well. And I think if I remember correctly, we do lose one of these fights, so... Yeah, it could have come down to that. I believe we lose this one. So here, the whale eats the Great One. And you'll notice here, same thing with the Tiger. Even though, like, both Tiger and Flea die at the same time. It actually doesn't apply here because there's only one target to get weakened, but believe me when I say that you do get the value of Tiger and Flea. But anyway, we have the resummon from Whale, and then we have the resummon from the Evil Book. And we just kill everything with Great Ones. A team like this can survive surprisingly long into the late game if you get it, all of the components for it. Here we buy Potato and Fan Muscle. A Potato is just like a better melon for this, because it's always guaranteed to like block a full 20. Whereas the most a melon can block is 18. We have level 3 Great One right now, which is dealing 18 damage to everything, so the melon will block a hit of 18 and then will completely go away. A potato will block 10 of the 18 damage, but it'll do that twice. That's why I don't have melon in the pack, and instead have like mushroom and health foods. Here, yeah, you can see there are 3 weakness targets, which is in line with Tiger Flea. But with this, in this case, we don't have enough because of the Warthog. Yeah, that does make a pretty big unit. So we're on 1 life at this point. But we do have level 2 Tiger in shop. And I think it's this turn I changed my positioning if I'm correct. Yeah. We mushroom the flea. So this was something that was like going on for a long while. A game before this, I spent like 5 minutes probably trying to figure out Tiger Whale with Flea and Great One. I had a very similar board to this. It didn't end up being quite enough to win that time, but that was only off of like a level 3 Triceratops that was on the other board. But I'll slow it down. I don't think it fully works in this fight though. This is a pretty like standard board for turn 16 standard. But the way it works is that the Flea Feint ability goes first. The whale itself will eat the one that's closest to it, and then the tiger will eat the one that's next closest. The Feint ability triggers first before any resummons happen. So we get weakness on 2 units. And then the Great One comes back, and the Great One can take advantage of the fact that there is a weakness on some of the units. We kill a lot of the boards. We bring the flea back. In this case, the flea, it's pretty unfortunate because the flea doesn't get to like make things weak again because the whale's already dead. So at this point, like, we need the whale to survive, and it's okay if the tiger dies because there's a mushroom. So the tiger and the other Great One come back, and you see we can't get the flea back from the whale because there isn't enough board space because the whale died too quickly. It's actually something I did as a mistake. But then we get Tiger Great One value, which means the level 2 will deal 12 damage to everything else, and then it'll repeat it again. And in this case, that's enough to kill the rest of the board. And you'll notice that our fan muscle lived on 2 HP. Barring any snipes on fan muscle, this is like pretty calculated to where, you know, with this amount of Great One damage, with the fan muscle ability plus the potato, like it's going to survive. You kind of want a bit more health on it, but the main priority right now is making sure the whale lives. None of these do that. This is 18 damage. So, like, if you put the lemon on it, it'll still be damaged for 11. You'd have to have lemon and also have, like, a celery or something. So I decide to roll, and I find potato. That's good enough. The whale will now live on 1 HP, which lets everything else happen that I mentioned before. The flea gets to activate and make more things weak. I freeze rolled this in case I could find a better food, but I've just found level 3 whale pretty much, so I just chocolate it in hopes that, like, maybe if there's a draw I can get level 3 whale quickly. But here's the last fight. It's a pretty typical strawberry team with Therizinosaurus and Coconut. But the Coconut's actually really good for us because we are able to just weaken it immediately. So that gets the first Coconut. The second Coconut gets popped by a Great One. And in fact, the Great One kills 2 units on their board and leaves another to 2 HP. The Crane looks a bit scary, but it's not actually that bad. The Flea weakens everything again, and then the Crane gives the Cassowary another melon. But because this whale is alive, or it actually lives on 2 HP, because this whale is alive, it's able to swing, pop the melon, and then both of these activate again. The flea here at this point is not massively important because, like, at this point, the all of the great ones have already happened. But it is something. Tiger Great One goes, and then the cassowary lives on 1 HP, but we have enough with the Great One to kill it. So yeah, that was kind of the last one that I had gotten during the marathon. I say kind of because there was a certain incident which we shall not talk about. But it didn't feel right for Lamprey to be the last one I got. It just didn't make as good of a story as it would to get Great One as the last one, and it needing a whole new pack and being overly complicated to set up. But once you got the team, it's actually very strong. It's not like strong enough to really be massively viable because you still have to get a Great One on your board and then you have to set up this whole board for it. But you know, it's pretty good other than that. So yeah, that's about it for me. If you at any point watched my achievement marathon, thank you so much. Or if you just like watch this video regardless, thank you for that. Thank you whatever you do. And have a wonderful day.